So I've got a new toy to play with. Parts Express, do-it-yourself C-note speaker. Here's the tweeter. And there's the woofer. It's pretty heavy. It's cute. Yeah, there's a magnet there. This is all the stuff to build the crossover. And some screws in there too. Port tubes. And the kit is not just electronics, right? It's also a what they call a knockdown cabinet. I don't know why they call it knockdown. It's a weird term. There's the back. And it's designed so that you lay it out and you glue it up with these side panels. The side panels are all just kind of the same. Then there is a front baffle, which is the cool part, of course, because it has to be CNC'd to really be nice. So they send you this nice CNC'd front panel. The tweeter's recessed and the woofer's flush mount. So it's Labor Day weekend, and my plan is to be listening to this thing at some point this weekend. So we'll see how that goes. And I want to paint it too, so hopefully make it look decent. All right, I'm getting started. All right. So the first thing I need to do is a really quick down and dirty driver test to make sure that they're functioning. So I got to test all 4 of them. And what I've got this little Fossey amp, Bluetooth. My phone is on a 20 to 20K test suite that's on Amazon Music. And I'm just basically holding the plugs on here. If I can hold it steady. Come on. Okay, yeah, I think that one's good. So I'll do the other tweeter and then I'll do the woofers. So the low frequencies are really hard to hear because the woofer's not mounted in a cabinet. But I can feel it when I do this. Yeah, there it goes. high. I mean, you can hear it. You can hear it dipping, but it goes high for a woofer. A lot of people like to go nuts with glue, thinking, I guess, that they want this cabinet to be airtight. I'm not going to get too upset, I guess, or not get too wound around the spokes of making every seam of this cabinet airtight. I want it to stay together, so I got to put enough glue on it to keep it together. But that's so what I'm going to do. Right, is I'm going to keep my glue to this inside edge and to the inside half of this lip. I'm not going to try to get it all the way out to this edge, but I'm going to get a pretty good bead. I don't have anything to point with. I want to get a pretty good bead in this corner right here, a good solid bead in this corner. I think a speaker should have a grill. I think the grill should be really attractive. So I'm going to try. I definitely need to try to build a grill for this thing, and so I'm not overly concerned about screws showing on the front. I probably will countersink them so that they look a little more professional than just a screw on the front. But it looks like there's a place for them. You can put one, dead center and in the corners. And then, the braces on the inside have to be, I can't put a lot of pressure on a brace on the inside, I don't guess, because they can't support a lot. I can do a corner going this way, but alright, it's time to do the crossover, and there's like a point-to-point wiring diagram that I have printed out, and I'm going to lay the components over top of it, solder them together. I've had that soldering iron since I was a teenager, but it works good. Well, I'm pretty sure I did it correctly. It's not quite as pretty as the diagram, but it should work. So when you're dealing with these components, I would throw in that when you're messing with one of these, when you move this wire, right, when you bend it, it wants to flex right at where it connects to the component, right? Like, look, when you're bending this, see how it wants to flex? Right where it goes in, right where it goes in. And if it breaks there, nah, it's game over, right? So, best thing is to try to grab it when you're getting ready to bend this lead. Bend it out here once or twice maybe, but then grab it and bend it at the other end of your finger. You don't want to break it off right at the component. Okay, yeah, we got a big mess. And this is the picture that they don't show you on the internet, on YouTube. Was the crossover after you've put all the wires on it. It's a messy thing. But I am getting ready to do a crossover test, and we'll see how that goes in a minute. It's vibrating.
I can feel that on the table.
You feel the table. Okay, so this is a crossover test. Okay, so I don't want to mount, I don't want to glue this front baffle to the box. I want to be able to paint them and finish them separately. So for that reason I mounted these well, they're not really cross braces, I guess they're corner braces. And it's not for stiffness, it's to have something to mount the front baffle to. Determined that coming in 3/4 of an inch from each side is perfect. It would land right in this this little corner brace here. I'm going to have to drill through it because it you know, if you put any pressure on it, it will crack. So, you know, your screw can't do anything more than just have the little edges catch. So I got to pre-drill it all, which is fine. So I got a trick set up here on the drill press. I got this set up so that when you bring it, so you set it up right, and I've got a hole marked there, or not a hole, but I've got it marked there, so that when you bring down your drill from here, it's right in the middle, and then you sight it again from over here, right, come down, it's right in the middle. Now the nice thing about that is I only have to do this once, and then I just go boop, and then I just go boop, and then I'm gonna, you know, I need to have an offset so that it looks nice and professional, right? So that this hole, the surface of the screw is not on the surface. I need to inset this a little. So I'll bring I'll put in a different drill bit and go back over each one of them again with a different bit to put a little offset in it. When I do that, I'll have to set the drill up so that it goes down, you know, it doesn't go all the way through. It just goes down maybe like into the material about 1/8 of an inch. So, all right, make that happen. A lot of tear outs on this MDF. If I cared about that, I should have a wasteboard on the bottom of the surface here so that I wouldn't have bad tear out like that. Almost had a panic session. I thought I brought out a bit, but it was too long. I didn't want to reset all this stuff. But I found another bit that's shorter. Hopefully it's big enough around for my screw. Might be a little tight. But on this first one, I'm just going to eyeball it, right? I'm going to bring the bit down into the material a little bit to where I just think it's, you know, about right. Looks pretty good. Then I'm going to stop the drill, right? And then I'm going to bring it back down into the material, and I'm going to set my offset up here so that then when I go around the rest of them, they're all the same. All right, time to remove the clamps. That went well. Well, it's time to see if there was any payoff to taping these. Ooh. Uh-oh. I don't want to come off. Oh, here it comes. It's only right there in that little corner. Might have been my fault. There's not a lot of glue, but I got it a little proud. And I guess it's a little hard to tell if you're getting it proud. Yeah, you know what? That's pretty nice. That might be worth doing. Might reduce some of your work putting that tape on there. I'm digging it. Alright, so this is the same bit I used to drill the first set of holes. I've got this paint can holding it down. I got it lined up, just fingering it, and oh, it feels like it's moved. Yeah, it moved a little bit. It's hard to keep it right, but I'm using the holes in the baffle as a guide to guide me into the corner braces underneath. Try to keep that drill at 90 degrees. I'm always seeing these guys on the internet just stick their drill right right in the hole in the driver. I just can't make myself do that. Well, it's hard to turn one-handed. And you know, you just get paranoid about, oh man, do I have the, are these screw holes right? You look at it from over here, you look at, so there is a trick that I've found that if you hold a square across it, let me turn it the other way. Wow, the magnet's grabbing my square. And you bring it up here, that'll help you get the kind of sight that you need to know. Those look pretty good. It really worked well on this one because it's flush mounted, right? It went right across it. All right, here comes the big test. Well, I got to connect to the Bluetooth with my phone. Okay, it's been 2 weeks. Probably been 2 weeks since I put these together, and I've been listening to them. They sound really good. I'm impressed. Just like all the reviews, they're very detailed. They're very they got really good bass to be as small as they are. So and I didn't even put the 7. I didn't even put the extension on the tube. I just left it. What is that? 5 inches. But it's now time to try to paint these things and make them look good. So I got this wall repair kit here. The reason I got it, it's spackling, but it came with a little putty knife. Hoping it's got some sandpaper in it too. But I've also got some. I got some sandpaper of my own, and I'm taking them apart. Got to take the drivers out, then I'll take the front baffles off, and I'll paint those flat black, and then I'll start trying to make it smooth so that I can paint the bigger part of the cabinets here. And I really just kind of rough sanded those, and I gotta say I'm pretty okay with how they came out. Yeah, what I'm seeing so far really don't look too bad. Now, so this one, you can see the edge a little bit, but for the most part, yeah, maybe you can there too. I think another coat of paint will help that. Now there is, so I'm not going to be able to get to show up on the camera, but there's like, it's like the paint, there's a spot. The paint is not drying at the same rate when it's on the glue. So if there's any glue exposed, yeah. Now, so that doesn't mean the paint won't ever dry. Maybe we'll give it enough time and that'll go away. See there? Maybe not. But the rest of it looks pretty good. And that it's not, I mean, yeah, you can see where the groove is down through here, but if that paint will dry and get to be the same color as the rest of it, then we may be okay. It's not doing it on this one. And again, these are the bottoms, right? All the sides and tops haven't even been painted yet. Am I digging this? Are we digging? Is this a good look? I think I'm kind of digging it. So, me and the female teenage child discussed this, and we figured we'd do some maybe music notes. So I was like, can you draw some music notes on here? And she's like, sure. Can I use multiple colors? I said, that'd be great. I said, would you like me to do the lines? And she's like, yeah, that'd probably look good. Well, I don't think I did a very good job. So she may not want to put her signature on these. But it'll be an anonymous work. My plan was to create a, what do you call it? Stencil? Yeah, a stencil. So in between there, right, I've got nails to space the little pieces of scrap wood. And I don't know. I think it was a pretty good plan that was poorly executed. What do you think? All right, I'm going to start. I'm starting to work on a grill cover for these speakers. I had a piece of 3/4 inch plywood, pretty nice stuff. And I've laid out a template on the on one side of it here where I'm going to leave 1.5 inches in the corners, an inch down the sides, and then 3/4 inch on the tops and the bottoms, because you know, that tweeter goes up high. I'm still kind of blocking a little too much. Well, maybe not. It's looking okay. We don't have any. You know, that waveguide might slightly get clipped by the grill. Now, I haven't completely worked out how I'm going to attach it. That'll be a work in progress. Got the scroll saw out. I'm a pretty lucky man. I got a scroll saw from my father-in-law. And my dad really liked having a scroll saw on hand too. He said they're really handy for just making a quick cut. The cuts made on a scroll saw are, you know, you remove almost no material. And the cut is smooth to the point where you could, you know, don't really even hardly need to sand it. My dad was really good on a scroll saw, and Dad also left me a drill press. And I know that's not common for people to have, but I don't know what he paid for that thing. He did quite a bit of woodworking, and it was worth it to him. Probably not worth it to everyday, you know, to the everyday man, but man, I tell you, it's nice to have. So get on scroll saw, and I've cut me a hole here. Get on scroll saw and cut out the inside of this grill. Well, I think it's printing. The female teenage child flaked out on me and didn't end up doing the art. So I came up with some art, and I am printing it on clear sticker paper. This is what one side will look like laid out across it. Alright, that one looks good. I'm having a hard time getting the printer to feed these stickers. I've been trying to do it one at a time, and I finally just figured out that you need to kind of have one on the bottom, because this side's pretty sticky. It wants to stick to the bottom of the paper tray. So put that one on underneath it so it has something to slide on. So when you want to get perfect alignment on something like this, you want to put it down with, and I haven't removed the backing yet, and that way I can remove the backing and it won't be moving around. I got painter's tape down here. Now the downside of this is on that one, the painter's tape left some glue behind. I have to figure out how to get the glue off. But this worked out pretty good on this one. It looks like they're lined up pretty good. This sticker stuff, it makes whatever is behind it, like this line is black. You can see it there. Gives it a slight blue tint, so not perfectly clear. And you can see my black lines and turn into blue lines, and that's not a desired effect. But and then this one, the printer, I don't know, something happened with the printer here, and it's slightly different color in my base. What's that thing called? Base track? I don't know. Signifies that the lines are for base. This one over here signifies that the lines are for treble. Well, it's DIY, and there can't be perfection in DIY. Maybe I shouldn't try to do this while I'm holding the camera, but you get the idea. This is what you want to do to your tape so that the glue don't stick to the sticker paper. Oh, Alright. I will touch his C note on the back. As you can see, you know, part of it looks kind of glossy because of the sticker paper, and then part of it doesn't because of the flat paint. You can see it kind of pretty good right there, right? So I'm going to spray the whole thing with lacquer, clear coat, and maybe that'll even it out. Alright, so I shot them with some clear coat, right over top of the stickers. And it may not work out because it looks like it's seems like it's kind of beading up, maybe, on the stickers. But then again, this one over here, as it's drying, looks like it may be returning to what it looked like before. Didn't really conceal the line, the edge of the sticker at all. But, I mean, at least maybe, let's see if I can get it to show up in the, I don't know, kind of hard to, maybe there's a little bit of a shine to it in spots where it didn't shine before. So, undetermined outcome at this point. I was watching the Swan guy put speaker cloth on his grill covers, and he talked about how you need to take the sharp edges off of these things before you put the cloth on there, especially on the corners, because it'll separate the seams on the cloth. Glue's weird. It sprays in a dang up and down pattern like that. Why are you doing that? Oh well. If I'd known it ahead of time, I might have been able to do it better, but I didn't. I sprayed damn glue right smack. The very first squirt went right smack in the middle. All right. Pretty rough looking on the back. But on the front, it don't look too bad. Nice and rectangular. I mean, I should have definitely done them one at a time. I wouldn't have been so rushed, but the corners on the back don't look too bad. Now, I've got to figure out how to get that splotch of glue right there is bad, but hey, it's really hard. It's hard to see from the front. Well, no, it's not. Oh well, guess I could do it again, but I probably won't. This first DIY is going to have all the flaws. Check this out. I was going to try to lay the magnet on here to see if I had enough clearance, like after the thickness of the grill, if the woofer cone was going to touch the cloth or not. So I was going to lay all 4 magnets on here and then lay the grill on here, but I put the magnet down and watch. Boom. There's some magnetism going on, that's for sure. I don't know. I guess I was hoping it would look a little better. Doesn't look bad. So I installed the port tube properly this time. I had these things together and listened to them for a long time. And I was just using one piece of the tube. I never even put the longer extension part on. But now I've put it on and I've adjusted it to 6 inches from the back of the cabinet, which is probably 6.5 because the MDF is a 1/2 inch thick. But I didn't really glue it like they say to do in the instructions. I just taped it with electrical tape, and you can't even see it. But I think it's going to hold it for at least a little while, and that makes it so that it's still adjustable. And I can play around with it if I ever want to. So I've listened to it short. Now I'm going to listen to it longer and see if that makes any difference. They say it'll go deeper, which it already went pretty deep. I'm not sure. We'll see. If it goes deep and it's not tight anymore, I may take the tube back off. But at least I haven't glued it down to where I can't do anything with it. Okay. Last night I glued the magnets to the grills, and they're sticking on there pretty good. They look, I mean, they're not perfect. You know, all this positioning on the back side of this grill was really just done by the eyeball. I just eyeballed it, but yeah, they click on there. They're holding pretty tight. So that's kind of pretty much the final product. I think they look good. They look really good, I think, at a distance. You know, you get up close to these things and there's no way that, you know, there's no way they're professional quality. But hey, that's their DIY. I would do some things differently, I guess, if I were going to try to sell these to someone. But I'm pretty happy with them. Kind of pretty happy with the way they turned out. And they're C notes, so they sound pretty good. All right. So I thought I'd give some final thoughts about DIY and the C notes. I think it's really important that anybody who's considering doing DIY, you probably want to do a kit first, because there are so many things I learned by doing this kit. But you know, I understand that drivers are supposed to, you know, produce their own frequency ranges. You know, you need a crossover. I understand how to wire a speaker. I understand how to make sure that the drivers are capable of, you know, they don't have any missing areas in their frequency response. You know, the tweeter needs to overlap the woofer, but you don't want to send all those frequencies to both drivers. I know how to basically know how to create a crossover. You know, you can just look it up. I mean, passive crossovers are fairly simple. You want to do second order, you know, you need a cap and a coil. I didn't know that much about the balancing with the resistor, so that's something I picked up. I also picked up the fact that when you're putting together a crossover, you know, you want to make sure that the coils are not inducing magnetism on the same plane. In other words, if you got a coil that's horizontal, if there's one nearby, it should be vertical, or you can just separate them. Quality of the components in the crossover is a big factor. If you look at this C note, you'll notice that, you know, if I were putting together a speaker, if I were designing the front baffle, I would probably, you know, space them equally depending on the size of the driver. And, you know, so my woofer would have been lower. They definitely wouldn't overlap like this, right? And I would have either inset both of them or not inset either one of them, where this guy inset the tweeter and didn't inset the woofer. It says in the description that this is done to, what does he call it, spatially align it or time align it or phase align the sound coming from one driver with the other. So, you know, obviously the dimensions of the cabinet are important when it comes to creating the right amount of bass in. You know, he played around with the ports, you know, the tube length to get the best sound out of it, or get the best amount of bass out of the small cabinet. there's a lot to it. Now, if I had just gone and built a cabinet and stuck drivers in there, built my own crossover, it probably would have sounded pretty good. I mean, it probably would have sounded okay, but then again, I think every once in a while, you know, a designer, maybe they stumble onto some things. You know, they make design decisions and they do a really good job, and then they build it and it sounds great. Then they build another one that's a little different, and for some reason, maybe not even because the drivers cost more or perform better, that one sounds a little better. Got something to do with the, you know, the way the drivers are spaced or inset. Anyway, but hey, I think this guy did this stuff on purpose. Now, if I were to design my own speaker, I got to figure out how to do all that stuff, right? And I also want to do one that's not MDF because I like a wood finish. But oh, this DIY little DIY chapter is over. If I build another C note, and you know, I might build another C note. They're really handy. They're handy speakers to have around. I did a lot of things the way I think I would do it with this one, so yeah. So thinking about building a pair of speakers, you should probably build some C notes first, because I mean it's $100, you know, and you learn so much. So thank you, Parts Express. This is a great kit. The guy that designed this kit, he comments on that website where they review all these audio components and they measure them. Sorry, I don't remember the name of the website, but you can see what he said about it in there. He said you should put a baffle in here to stop a standing wave inside the cabinet that rolls around 700 hertz, because the distance from the top of the bottom of the cabinet on the inside, that's about the length of a 700 hertz standing wave. So that's the kind of stuff they talk about on there. So happy reading, and thanks for watching. What are you doing? Every time I look up there, there's another profile shot of my gut. I mean, how many times I gotta tell you not to do a side angle when I'm on camera? But I don't know, put the camera somewhere else. What are you thinking?